My name is Ashley King and I'm blind. I wasn't born blind. I actually lost my eyesight in a very weird and unusual way that could have been prevented.
If someone told me that I would lose my eyesight from drinking alcohol, I would tell them they're lying. Ashley King was 18 years old when she traveled to Bali with her friend, and they stayed in Kuta, which was known to be filled with clubs, and it was the place to be for people who wanted to party. She was in Bali for about a week and was traveling to New Zealand right after, but on her last night there, she went out with her friend for drinks. Ashley ordered a cocktail which was served in a plastic water bottle. The drink tasted fine, just like any other drink she had in the past. But the next day, when she flew to New Zealand, she began feeling really tired. She had no appetite and decided to go to bed really early. When she woke up the next morning, she realized that the lamp she left on was turned off. She thought that was weird, so she began turning on the lights in the hostel, and it didn't seem to make a big difference. Not long after, she began having a hard time breathing, and so she went to the hospital, and slowly she began losing her eyesight to the point she couldn't see anything. Doctors quickly tested her blood and discovered methanol poisoning, which, if you don't know, alcohol has ethanol, which is safe to drink in moderation because our bodies can actually process it. Methanol, on the other hand, is toxic and is used in products like antifreeze, and our bodies can't break it down, and it can cause optic nerve damage and potentially kill us. So at this point, doctors are trying to save Ashley's life, and she was given glass after glass of vodka with orange juice to get her drunk so that her body would stop metabolizing the methanol. What's absolutely crazy is that Ashley said that the more drunk she got, the more she could see and breathe, but her vision wasn't anything close to what it used to be. She could eventually start seeing lights and shapes, but that was about it. Nevertheless, Ashley's case is a miracle. If she had still been in Bali, she probably wouldn't have survived.
Amazing things you have never seen before. What are the odds it only snowed in half of their backyard? I bet you've never seen a square cloud before. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? I bet you've never seen an alligator and a turtle high five. This isn't photoshopped. It's actually a half horse, half zebra animal that actually exists. Is this an invisible car, or did the actual car leave while the ice that was stuck on it stayed? This is insane. This is a real life Minecraft forest. And the chances of this happening are 1 in a million. These firefighters were putting out a fire when a tornado stormed through. Wow.
What I'm about to tell you is very important, and you definitely needed to know this. There's a mystery man or woman who has been pooping in golf holes at a golf club in Norway since 2005. I know, my instant reaction was, why don't they have security cameras? Apparently, the golf club refused to have security cameras on the premise, so they've resorted to motion sensor spotlights to try and catch the pooper. It's a little fishy that they don't want security cameras up. I think it's one of the owners of the club. It's gotta be. There was a couple in Florida who was arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven. They sold the tickets for $99.99, told the buyers that the tickets were made from solid gold, and the husband of the couple, quote, said, "I do not care what the police say. The tickets are solid gold, and it was Jesus who gave them to me behind the KFC and told me to sell them so I could get me some money to go to outer space." This keeps going. I met an alien named Stevie who said if I got the cash together, he would take me and my wife on his flying saucer to his planet that is made entirely of drugs. You should arrest Jesus because he's the one that gave me the golden tickets. I'm willing to wear a wire and set Jesus up. The police said that they confiscated over $10,000 in cash, drugs, and a baby alligator. Why am I Florida? Okay.
Famous celebrities' last words. Starting off with X. On June 18th, 2018, he decided to go to the ATM to withdraw some cash. He was then followed by a black SUV to a motorsport shop. After a few hours of being there, he went back outside and he noticed the black SUV was still there. Two men jumped out of the SUV and demanded that X gave them his car. When he tried to fight back, he was then shot in the neck 3 times. His last words were, "What the F is going on?" After landing at the Midway airport, Juice suffered a severe seizure, and this was caused by an overdose of painkillers. His few last words were unknown, but his last words to his fans was, "I love y'all more than life."
Riddles that will test your brain power, part 1. First riddle, what is the mistake these two pictures have in common? Pause the video now to think about it. Okay, here's the answer. Here it is. Once you flip the photo around, you can see the eyes and lips are upside down. Our brain doesn't recognize this immediately because it's not used to seeing it. Next riddle, how many holes does this t-shirt have? Pause the video and think of an answer. The correct answer is 8 holes because the question doesn't specify which holes. The first is the neckline, 2 and 3 are the sleeves, 4 is the bottom, 5 and 6 are in the front, and because we can see the background, 7 and 8 are in the back. Last one, can you spot a mistake here? Pause the video and take a couple seconds to try to figure it out. Okay, if you couldn't figure it out, it's not in the numbers. The word spot is actually there twice.
Here's the full lore explained of the gambling Five Nights at Freddy's style game, Casino Casualty. And of course, if you want to try to find more lore that I might have missed, I have a full playthrough of the game on my channel if you're interested. Gotta get this out of the way first, Rosetta Rabbit here. The developer has confirmed that y'all are thirsting over her. The game starts with our character Max closing down the casino they own. But why exactly did it have to close down? As we know, the casino is filled with animatronics. The secret story sections that appeared during some of the game over screens confirmed that Ringmaster Clowney actually attacked a customer at the casino. But why would the animatronics do this? Why would they revolt? Well, Max was decommissioning them. The same story scene reveals that there were 3 Ringmaster Clowneys, so 2 of them were destroyed. And the crane animatronic called the Hanged Man, he's a decommissioned animatronic that is still somehow functioning. We know this because the current in-game prize grab machine has a fully working crane. There's another story section that also tells how the dice in the Monocle Jack game were all loaded. So it's safe to assume that Max has basically been cheating every customer that's walked through the doors forever. So the robots, afraid of being decommissioned, plan an attack, and as the casino shuts down, they trap Max inside. And they make him go through the same cheated games he had all the customers go through. If you do manage to beat the game, Max escapes. But when he tries to show a police officer what's been happening at the casino, all of the animatronics hide. And with that, the game ends open-ended. Max is alive, but so are the animatronics. And one more fun fact, the Miss Tickle animatronic was inspired by a drawing that Max's brother's kid did.
So it's officially over, but probably not for the reason you think, so stick with me. Obviously, from lyrics that relate to the girl that passed away or someone with the same name, photos, matching tattoos, the body in the car, police searching the house, blah blah blah, the list goes on, which of course has everybody at the moment in James Dokes mode. However, there's been a few developments. So they've actually said on a number of sources that David is not a suspect. But why?
Well, there is.
They just haven't announced exactly who it is, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. But days ago, another video emerged showing the Tesla car key outside of his house in a drain. A lot of people have been saying this could be a publicity stunt of this person just trying to get views though, but I don't know. Major news though came with leaks from Discord chats and other things that have been put out there, with reports of him loving to watch Live Leak and laughing at it and basically singing about it or something. So leaked Discord chats where he had this community where apparently he would only allow under certain people and would watch some pretty interesting things. I mean, these are some of the comments here you can see. People are now freaking out as they have no doubt that he obviously did this. He's cancelled his tour and he's probably going to be arrested very soon. But with some of these headlines coming out, people are just a little bit thrown at the moment. But it keeps getting crazier, so hit that follow button and I'll keep you updated.
Things that only 0.01% of people can do. Touching your nose with your tongue. Yeah, I can't do it. Apparently some people can't just raise one eyebrow. I think I can do it. And apparently some people can't cross their eyes, and I'm pretty sure I just did it. Sneeze with your eyes open. Okay, that's impossible. Nobody can do that. Apparently rolling your tongue is super rare. So apparently I'm a rare person. Apparently some people can bend their hand upwards. How is that possible?
Facts about friends. Humans live 22% longer if they have a close-knit group of friends. Being in a group of people actually makes you seem more attractive. Babies can recognize friendships as soon as they're 9 months old. It's very common for animals from different species to become lifelong friends. If you guys are looking to make new friends and maybe even live longer, then click the link in my bio and tap Bigo app. This 100% free live streaming app allows you to join different streams and make tons of new friends. And who knows, maybe you'll even live longer.
You will not believe these people exist. First, if you think you know someone that has a big mouth, then you have not met Francisco Domingo. Francisco is an Angolan that has a missing hinge in his jaw area, which allows him to stretch his mouth nearly 7 inches, giving him the world record for the widest mouth in the world. Next, a previously colorblind man named Neil Harbinson is the world's first human cyborg. He has an antenna implanted in his skull that allows him to hear color and see around. He can also connect to nearby devices, Bluetooth and internet. And people can send images directly to his brain. Julia Gonthel is a Russian woman with a rare form of hypermobility that allows her to contort her body to extremes. She once removed the caps from 8 beer bottles with her feet in 1 minute. and can bend herself well enough to hide in a 50 by 50 box. Next, this is Josephine Myrtle, and she was born with 4 legs and 2 sets of genitals. Despite having these conditions, she still got happily married and had 5 kids. 3 kids coming out from one side and 2 coming out from the other. Finally, this man from India left his family about 50 years ago and started raising his arm to separate himself from the luxuries of the modern world. And he has kept his arm in the same place ever since. Now it is permanently stuck. 12 more.
This bug is on your face right now. This thing is called a face mite, and it's living on your face right now, but it can't be seen by the naked eye. These mites are mainly found in your hair, eyebrows, and beard. But since they live inside of your pores, you can't get rid of them by washing your face. And the only time they are not on your face is when you are sleeping. And the only reason they go out of your pores is to mate, then they go right back in.
You can die peacefully now. Face of the woman in Tom and Jerry. The Teletubbies' baby son, all grown up. Vin Diesel. With hair. The first video posted on YouTube. Ninja Turtles without masks. The first photo posted on Instagram. The first McDonald's in history. A Smurf without its hat. The first video posted on TikTok.
This video proves that skinwalkers are real. In the Navajo Native American culture, skinwalkers are believed to be shape-shifting witches that take the form of animals. And as the legend goes, these creatures are dangerous spirits. Many people in North America have reported seeing these skinwalkers in real life, and there's even movies and TV shows about them. There are hundreds of videos online claiming to have caught a skinwalker on camera. However, this home security camera footage caught something very disturbing. The video at first appears to be pretty normal, just showing a family's backyard pool. But if you look closely to the right of their basketball hoop, it appears that some strange-looking creature is climbing the fence to their backyard. The creature looks to have a humanoid-like torso, head, and arms. And all it does is just climb up the fence and look around the backyard. If we take a closer look, we can see that the creature definitely appears to look like a human being. And just a few seconds later, the creature vanishes.
What if Five Nights at Freddy's had gambling and took place in a casino? Let's talk about a horror game called Casino Casualty that is surprisingly terrifying. Full playthrough of the entire game on my channel. This is no ordinary casino. It's a special one filled with animatronics. And as the owner, we're trapped in the casino and have to win enough money to escape. And the game mechanics themselves are literally casino games. Blackjack, slots, dice, it's all here. You also have to move between all these stations in real time, because if you don't play everyone's game... As for the animatronics themselves, we have Ringmaster Clowny, Rosetta Rabbit, Monocle Jack, Red Rover, Miss Tickle, and the Hanged Man, all of which have their own respective games in the casino. And of course, there is a story here. In the game, dying reveals more of the story sometimes. And as it turns out, there was something a bit more sinister going on at this casino. This game was genuinely fantastic, and if you guys want me to do another short about the story of the game, let me know.
Do you have the mind of a psychopath? According to the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations, if you are able to solve this riddle, then you could think like a psychopath. An elderly woman named Mrs. Smith was tragically killed on a Sunday evening right before dinner. But there were 5 people in the house at the time of the murder. When the police arrived, they asked the 5 suspects what they were doing in the house at the time. The chef said he was preparing food and listening to music. Her husband, Mr. Smith, said he was out in his garden looking at the stars through his telescope. And there was also a gardener who said he wasn't in the garden but by the trees removing branches. As for the other 2 people, the maid said she was setting the dinner table, while the butler said he was in the cellar getting Mrs. Smith's favorite wine for dinner. After all these statements were given, the police were able to arrest the murderer right away. So who killed Mrs. Smith? 4 more.
Let me introduce you to the weirdest animal on planet Earth. Meet the echidna. First off, these bad boys are the only living relative to the platypus. Tells you a lot about them. It's basically like a hedgehog with a bird's beak, an anteater's tongue, and a kangaroo's pouch. Not to mention, they lay eggs. It's a mammal. They also have venom glands, which is also weird for a mammal. Except, they don't work. Apparently, the echidna lost their venom somewhere through history. Their main food source is ants and termites, which they gobble up with that ridiculous tongue. But I have no idea where the food goes, because they also don't have a stomach. Make that make sense. And if that's not weird enough, they also give off pink milk, but it does not come out of nipples. Guess why? They don't have any of those either. Instead, it just secretes out of their little kangaroo pouch. Gross. Oh, and just for the cherry on top, they also have electroreceptors in their beak, so they can sense the electrical pulses in your body. So, there's that. Moral of the story, if you ever feel out of place, like you don't belong, just remember, the echidna exists. And as always, follow for more facts.
Things in your house that can kill you. Electric blanket. Toothpaste. Bed. Space heaters. Gas leakage. Black mold in house. Geyser blast. Houseplants. Dryer lint.
I never knew how incredibly common it was for people to dump human remains inside of the Disney parks. But it's so common they even have a code word for when it happens, and this is part of a long list of code words that Disney has for when morbid things happen in the park, and I want to share some of my favorites with you. Also, I cover stuff that's morbid but interesting, so follow along. So if you hear the words code white powder or code grandma said at Disney, it means that someone has dumped cremains near you. Employees have also said that this happens so often at Disney, and every time it does, those remains end up in the garbage. Apparently, they're supposed to call the Ghostbusters when this happens, which is just a custodian that shows up in a hazmat suit and has a little mini vacuum with him. And he vacuums everything up, throws it in the garbage, and says, "Sorry, Grandma." Another very common code is a protein spill, or a code V, which just means that someone has thrown up in the park, and they say that one happens all the time as well. But they also say a code that doesn't get picked up on a lot is when an employee calls a guest our most treasured guest. That pretty much universally means that you are being a nightmare and they wish that you would leave. And this one I couldn't confirm was at Disney, but it came from someone who was talking about theme park codes on a Reddit thread. And they said, "I worked at an Orlando theme park. Our saddest code was an 82. It meant a rider was too large for the seat and they were either stuck or causing a scene and refusing to move from the loading station. It was called an 82 because they ate too much."
If you or someone that you know has small children, please watch this video until the end because it could save their life. Basically, Boppy baby pillows are being recalled after suffocating 8 children to their end. What happened was that these 8 children were laid down to sleep on these pillows and woke up lifeless. The recall includes the original, preferred, and Pottery Barn Kids Boppy baby pillows, and if you own any of these, you can take them to a local store for a refund. These are being recalled all the way back from 2004 to September of this year, so if you own any of these from any of those years, you might be at risk. So please never put any babies or young children to sleep in any of these, and if you know anyone with young children, please send them this video so they don't miss this life-saving information.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Michael Jackson was 25 years, 4 months and 29 days old when his hair caught fire while filming a Pepsi commercial. He died exactly 25 years, 4 months and 29 days later, meaning the day his hair caught fire was the exact midpoint of his life. Sweden is so good at waste management that it imports waste from other countries just to keep its plants running. Over 80% of the world has never been on an airplane. There is a man who visited every country on earth without ever getting on an airplane. It took him 10 years. Your phone knows exactly where you want to travel to. Type I want to travel to and let your keyboard finish the sentence. Single women in the United States of America now own more homes than single men, which some say is due to a phenomenon called divorce. The average mobile phone is 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. 5 more.
If you're ever attacked by a bear, here's what you need to do to survive. For those of you who somehow this is not obvious for, make sure you don't go camping in high bear activity areas and always carry bear spray. But let's say you didn't do that, and you ended up in a tussle with one of these furry creatures. Well, all you have to do is just remember this simple rhyme. If it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. And if it's white, say goodnight. Let's say you've identified that it's a brown grizzly bear. What are you gonna do? Lie down or play dead. But if you curl up in the fetal position and count to 1,000, the grizzly bear probably won't feel threatened and will walk away. Next is if it's black, fight back. So basically, if you see a black bear, you want to intimidate it by looking as big as possible and making loud noises. You could also try to fight it with sticks, stones, or any other weapons you may have, but try not to use your fists because those usually don't do well against claws. Now, if you see a white or polar bear, they're not really aggressive, they're just so big that everything looks like food to them. You could try punching them in the snout or eyes, but honestly, just make sure you told your family you love them and say goodnight.
People with the smallest body parts. Tongue. Bernd Schmidt. Forehead. Andrew Napolitano. Waist. 15-inch. Head. Chandra Bada Danji. Nose. Tiffany Trump. Neck. Mohammed Salah.
I just read that smiling, even when you're not in a particularly joyful mood, can trick your brain into being happier. So we're gonna try it. All right, here we go. Woo! I don't even know how to show this. I got like an ab poster. I quit Taco Bell in an attempt to get abs. Smile, Bell, smile! I shouldn't have done like 5 before recording. Shit. Ugh. How long is it supposed to take?
Animals you haven't seen as babies. Camel. Sloth. Hedgehog. Hyena. Raccoon. Skunk. Pigeon.
Yo, what's up? Today we're going to be talking about the case of Kendrick Johnson. I know a lot of people have heard about it, but also a lot of people haven't, so let's get right into it. On January 10th of 2013, 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson went to school but never returned home that night after class. On the following day, after the missing persons report was filed, somebody called in to the police and claimed that there was a body found in the gym at Lowndes County High School in Valdosta, Georgia. And the person whose body was found was none other than 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson, who was face down, rolled up in a 6-foot-tall gym mat with his feet hanging out of the top. After doing an autopsy on Kendrick's body, the coroners ruled out that his death was accidental and that he had dropped his shoe inside of the mat, and when he tried to grab it, he actually fell in and got stuck and died from positional asphyxia, otherwise known as suffocation. But me, along with many others, know that that is not the case of what happened with Kendrick Johnson. You see, after hearing that the coroners ruled out their son's death as accidental, Kendrick's parents decided to take matters into their own hands and actually have a private autopsy done on their son's body. And you will not believe what they discovered. After going through with the private autopsy, the coroner claimed that their son's organs were missing from his body and that they were replaced with newspaper. Now you can say all you want that his death was accidental, that he fell into the mat and got stuck and died from suffocation, but where did his organs go? If you take a look at that just really closely, you'll come to find out that this death was not accidental. And also, there was a shoe found at the scene of Kendrick's death that did not belong to Kendrick. In fact, the police didn't bag it, they didn't tag it or collect it as evidence, they just left it there. So there's a shoe there that no one knows who it belongs to. So guys, at the end of the day, I think it's pretty clear to see what happened with Kendrick Johnson. Kendrick Johnson's death was not accidental. He did not fall down a mat and get stuck and die from suffocation. No, he was part of something way more malicious, and this young man was murdered, plain and simple. People are going to do anything nowadays to try to cover up their name and make themselves look better and keep people that they know were involved out of the spotlight, but that's not bringing justice to Kendrick Johnson and his family. In fact, we're not going to stop until this family does receive the justice that they deserve.
This 14-year-old boy was given the electric chair after being wrongly convicted. On March 23rd of 1944, two young white girls, 11-year-old June Binnicker and 7-year-old Mary Emma Thames, went missing in South Carolina. Their bodies ended up being discovered in a ditch after being brutally unalived. The girls were last seen riding their bicycles looking for flowers, and that's when they passed by the Stinney family property and they stopped to ask 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. and his sister if they knew where to find passion flowers. That would be the last time that those girls were seen. Since there was no evidence, no witnesses, and no real investigation, police questioned both George and his 17-year-old brother Johnny. Johnny was eventually released because investigators claimed that he wasn't involved. George was interrogated alone, meaning no lawyer, no parents, and no one there to protect him. They figured that since George was younger and smaller, it was going to be easier to put the pressure on him. Hours later, officers claimed that George had confessed, but there was no written or signed statement. It was just the word of law enforcement. Once trial began for George, it only lasted 2 hours. The all-white jury took just 10 minutes to find him guilty. George's court-appointed lawyer made no effort to challenge the case against him. Not a single witness was called in his defense, and there was no kind of evidence linking him to the crime. As for George's sentence, it would be death by electric chair. On June 16th of 1944, George was executed in the electric chair. He was only 5'1" and weighed 95 pounds. George was so small that they had to place a Bible on the seat to strap him in. They placed a mask on George's face, but since the mask was too big, the initial electric shock knocked off the mask and you could see the panic on this young boy's face. It took only 3 jolts of electricity to end his life. George's parents couldn't even attend his trial because they were forced out of town by threats. For 70 years, George's name was marked by the crime he never committed. It wasn't until 2014 that a judge overturned his conviction, calling it a great and fundamental injustice. A South Carolina court ruled that he had not received a fair trial and was wrongfully executed. But justice for George came far too late.